Hey, it's Tinley week. I got Dennis McNamara from DJM Reptiles on the show tonight. We're going to get into all the dirt of Tinley, what goes on there. We'll talk about shows in general as well, though. So stick around. I promise Dennis and I do good work together. What's happening, guys? Thanks for being here tonight. It is 8 o'clock on the East Coast. It's 7 o'clock here in Minnesota, and we're in that weird, like, spring is almost here. Like, we'll have a day in the 70s, and then this weekend it's back down in the, like, low 20s. But little by little, it's inching up. So shipping windows are open, just about to be full business time, which I'm pretty excited about. I hope that you're doing well, and I hope that I get to see a whole lot of you guys at Tinley this weekend. Be sure, if you do come out to Tinley, make your way all the way to the back and then go all the way left. You will get to the Proper Royals table. And honestly, if you go, I got to ask Dennis, but if you go straight back from the entrance, you'll run nearly smack into Dennis's table as well. So you can hit Dennis's table, and then you can bank a hard left and go all the way to the back corner. And that is where you will find me there. So I'm excited. I'll pack up Thursday. I'll roll out early Friday morning. And then I was trying to explain this to my dad, and then I thought, like, maybe I should just go through this schedule on the show, because I don't think most people realize, like, so Chicago's basically 6 hours away for me. It looks like it's 4.5, but then you hit the Beltway, and then you got to go all the way around the south and get even a little bit to the east. So it takes me about 6 hours to get to Tinley. So I'll get there around noon. I'll leave here at 6 a.m. I'll get up at probably 4:30. Leave here at 6 a.m., set up all afternoon, do the VIP thing, and then there's a Patreon dinner at 5:30 for the Proper Royals Patreon. We're having a little get-together there, 10 of us. I'm excited for 10 people. How cool is that? And then at 7:30, I have a industry meeting that I was invited to that I need to go to. And then at 8:30, the people that didn't want to go to the steakhouse and the Patreon, which I understand, that's not for everybody, will meet at the lobby of the Even Hotel. And that'll go till, I don't know, I hope I put myself to bed by like 11 o'clock, because then Saturday, I think VIP opens at 8 a.m. Like, it's ungodly early how early that we have to be there. You don't have to, but you're going to miss out on the early birds that are there trying to buy. So you got to get there. And then I think it's till Dennis will straighten me out. I think it's till 5 o'clock on Saturday. It might be 6. I think it's only 5. God, I hope it's not 6. Anyway, so there's 9 hours at least of vending. And then there's the US ARC auction. Sometime you're going to eat dinner either after it or before it. But I could tell you the auction goes so long, like, eat before, and then just from the auction, just go right straight over to the lobby bar and hang out. Then Sunday is, thankfully, thank God, 11 a.m. Till 4 p.m. And then by like 5:30, the whole room is cleared out because everybody goes home. I don't actually leave till Monday morning. So Sunday, I'll actually relax. I'll have a dinner with a couple friends and a couple other industry folks that evening. And then Monday I'll head home. So it's a weekend of work. It's a blast. And I didn't shine enough light on it. I'll be vending that whole time as well. So I'm excited for it. It's good opportunities, but it's definitely a show. It's definitely like an industry show. Like, you can make such good connections, meet such good people, catch up with people, work deals. We'll get into all that tonight. I got Dennis McNamara. You should know him from DJM Reptiles. He's been around the industry for a long, long time, and like, completely legitimate guy. So he's been at it 25 years from like a hobby business standpoint. Oh yeah. He's been he works at the Virginia Zoo for 25 years, and he's a curator of reptiles. Like, it's just legit top to bottom. So I can't wait to get Dennis back on the show tonight. He's been here It's like 13 months ago that I looked it up. Let me see. Quick announcements. Massive thanks. I should have started with this. Last week got a little weird around the Shira household. I couldn't do the show. Everything is cool. How do I put it? Being a dad to a teenage middle schooler doesn't come with an instruction manual. Anyway, like I say, we're good. I'm sure it's something that every parent understands. But anyway, Nikki and Kurt from Irresistible Ball Pythons, they were the guests last week, and Craig from Bash Coder filled in. So huge thanks to them. Check out that episode if you haven't seen it. It was really cool to listen to a Proper Royals that I wasn't on, and it was kind of cool to hear where Craig, Nikki, and Kurt took the conversation where I thought it was going to go. So it just gave me a little bit of a different perspective and made me think about how I conduct the show sometimes. All right, let me see. The Tinley announcements I didn't get to. I'm right across the aisle from Cold Blooded Cafe. They have long been a part of the Proper Royals family, sponsor an Instagram channel. They sponsor the Thursday morning Proper Cup of Joe. But anyway, Proper 11 will get you 11% off of your frozen rodent order from Cold Blooded Cafe. And they've recently reset the code. If you haven't used it recently, and I'm talking within the last few weeks, give it a shot. Get your 11% off on Cold Blooded Cafe. Proper 11 is that code. I wrote something here. I have no idea what it says. AV. Oh, the auction. AUCT. Okay. All right. I got, speaking of other people that are in the Proper Royals family, I got a new merch proposal, and I said yes to it. Let me see if I can show one to you real fast. Husbandry Pro and Proper Royals co-branded merch. It is slated to get through. It already made it through customs. It's in Detroit, came from Canada. And Husbandry Pro and Proper Royals co-branded merch. So check that out. I think it's pretty cool looking. And, you know, whatever colors everybody's into, but we got one for, we got a couple options here. I had these slated to show, and then I left the studio, you know? Yeah, check that out. I got the pink option and the gray option, and those patches are vegan leather. I have no idea what that is, but you know, it's pretty healthy for the animals, I guess. So those will be $30 at the table. Come check them out. I can't wait to see that. So thanks for the team at Husbandry Pro. That pink one is a mock-up. That patch will be on there better and actually secured. That was just a last-minute decision. And then the charcoal one, this is what it'll look like. So I'll have those at the booth. First time ever. Very limited. I'll be totally transparent with you. I got 10 of the pink, and I got 15 of the charcoal. That's it. When they're gone, they're gone. I don't have any more. So come by and see those. Sport some new fashion if you like. Also, I did a reel today on trying to figure out a little bit of presentation on some deli cups, and I've never liked that presentation. It just, I don't know why. Maybe I'm a snob, but I remembered the last time I was in, maybe even at Tinley, but certainly in Denver, I got some square deli cups from Robin, and I made a reel about it today, and I got a hell of a lot of feedback. So check it out if you want. But most of the feedback was that they're a little bit too small and maybe not clear enough. So I called Robin at Redline, and he said, oh yeah, those are the old ones. Those are for inverts and spiders. We got bigger ones for you. And we worked really hard on the clarity. So I'm going to try those bigger ones out. We'll see if they're eye catching on the delis. And to look beyond Tinley, for those of y'all out west of me, on 2 weeks after Tinley, I think it's April 5th. Whatever that Sunday is, April 5th, April 6th, I will be vending in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. I've never been to South Dakota. I've never vended in Sioux Falls. I think it's a first-time show. I won't bore you tonight, but I did a little bit of metrics study on how far the people in Sioux Falls have to go to get to a reptile show and how often. It's like 4 hours is their closest reptile show to them. And there's like 300,000 people in Sioux Falls. And I looked up the per capita income. They make a little bit of money. So I'm going to go to Sioux Falls. I'm going to go vend there. Enough of the announcements. I hope I see you this weekend. I hope you guys check me out somewhere. And I guess I have one more. The properroyals.com inventory available is completely up to date. I don't have all the pictures updated, but all the genetics and available animals are correct. Check that out, properroyals.com. And if there's anything you're interested in, you want to snag before Tinley, let me know. Shoot me a note on that. Dennis McNamara, I mentioned earlier, he's been in the hobby and the business and I don't know what you would call it. There's like the hobby, the business, but that's like the breeding and the reptiles, like part of it. But his career, you call it a career. That's what you call it. His career is working at the reptiles at the Virginia Zoo. And I got to ask Dennis if he remembers how we first like connected, but maybe it was even over music, but we connected and we kind of hit it off and we realized that we got, kids similar age, similar point in life. We like ball pythons. We've been Tinley and he did the show and it was a good show. So anyway, I'm so glad to have Dennis back. Enough of me talking about him. He's sitting right there in the green room. Let's bring him on. Please welcome back to the Proper Royals stage from DJM Reptiles, Dennis McNamara. Dennis, how you doing tonight, man?
I'm great. How are you?
I am very, very good. Thank you for being here. You sound nice, very rich sound on your tone there through that new microphone.
I know. I feel very official.
You're like radio-esque, man. I'm liking it here.
Well, that's the plan. So I figured I would invest a little bit in it. Maybe I'll do a few more of these things and try to look the part.
Yeah, I would say you're doing it. I like that microphone, man. I like how it, I don't know, it's like if somebody else could explain it to me, how it condenses or I don't know, whatever it is, but it's nice work, man.
It was the $99 one. So that's part of what I went for.
I think, I don't know for sure. I know Craig's in the audience. Somebody could correct me. I think Rode doesn't make junk. They don't have like an entry junkie line. So if you buy something with Rode on it, it's probably, and you're just starting, it's probably better than what you've been dealing with.
Well, I also ran it by you and Craig before I bought it. So
yeah,
I'm probably doing all right.
When I grow up, one day when I grow up, I'm going to spend some money on a Rode. Now I'm jealous. I'm like, I'm so cheap. I need to call and be like, hey, do you guys sponsor Reptile podcasts? Would you like to?
Hey, you never know unless you try it. And then I got the headphones because my wife says I make too much noise when I'm doing these things. So hopefully I'll be quiet now.
Yeah, well, you could talk very calmly and like say, less excitable. I'll handle the excitable stuff, even though I got the headphones too. But
the problem with the headphones is I can't tell what I'm really talking like because I'm not sure. So we'll try to even it out.
You got technology on your side. Like the software is matching you. It's making us work because this is one of the things I love. Now it's scary. I just watched The Social Dilemma, but like Google's job is to match people on YouTube that are going to watch each other for a long time, like the creator with the watcher. And this is an incredibly powerful company, Google, doing it. Well, StreamYard's job is to make us sound good so that people won't turn away because we're not going to use their product if we can't get any views. So we got StreamYard on our side.
I like that. I can take all the help I can get.
Yeah, right. Exactly. All right. Craig says thumbs up for you as well. Dennis, for people that don't know you, introduce yourself. Tell us about you. Tell us about DJM Reptiles.
My name is Dennis McNamara. I am, I don't know. What do you want to know? I'm 49 years old. I started doing this working at a reptile. Well, I started doing this before, but I started working at a reptile store in the early 90s. Went to my first Orlando in like 95, I think. And I haven't missed one since then. I made sure that my wife...
Was that the show that show that became Daytona?
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So I went with I worked for a company. We went down there and vended, and like Chad Hulker and I worked. That's how we met years ago then. And we would go down there and help vend. And then that show became, I haven't missed it since then. So I made sure my wife knew that. So no weddings, no children in August, nothing. Her friends think that's crazy, but that's, you're
backtracking to December. You're like, all right, company Christmas parties. We're not going together. Yeah. That's not going to work. You can't have it.
It's all got to be revolving around that. And so, I don't know. So I worked my first snake was a carpet python. I had like leopard geckos and bearded dragons and things when they were expensive, but I had box turtles and other stuff like that growing up. And then I ventured into the world of carpet pythons and things like that. And then as far as the very brief synopsis, then in January 2000, I got a job at the zoo. The guy that did reptiles at the zoo was like, you should come work here. He brought me an application. I filled it out, and I've been there for 25 years or whatever now.
Man, that's cool. Like, I think a lot of people like think about what they'd really like to do, and we all just like take the paycheck or whatever. It's cool that you were able to get into the zoo and that it worked out so well. I mean, you've been there 25 years. That's killer.
Yeah, and I have my job is great. I get to pick out all the animals we have. I get to pick out the staff. I said in an interview not long ago that like I've never had a day where I didn't want to get up and go to work. Now, I have a collection of animals here that I keep and breed, and I would say I'm obsessed a little bit where it's like I do it all day at work. I do it at home. I do it. My son, I have some Redfoot tortoises in here on the other side of the room. My son is obsessed with them. And spring, summer, and fall, they're outside, but now they're inside for a little bit. But
sure.
Yeah, so I don't know. Everything just revolves around. My best friends are all from the reptile industry, so everything just kind of happened from that.
That is, it's cool, and it started to be between reptiles and music, especially in the new to me area here in Minnesota. That's kind of my circle of friends. There's the reptile weekends with the shows, and then there's the music weekends with the musicians, and that's kind of it for me. Like saying a new place here for me. So I get that a lot. What about
one thing about the music? So the reason I started going into that pet store is I went in there one night and I was a young teenager, and the guys that fed then would feed on Saturday nights, and they would have like Black Sabbath and Cro-Mags playing like loud, and they would go around and they would feed everything in there. And so it was like you went in there for this like musical feeding experience, which just kind of drew me in. So there's music, a lot of it too, and
that's cool. Like I feel like War Pigs might be like the best ever reptile feeding. Like you could have like the beat, like bam, bum, bum, bum. Anyway, all right. So I'm envisioning it though. Were the lights down or were the lights fully on?
No, it was on, but that was before like Frozen too. So it was all fresh. There was pre-killed. So it was kind of like, I don't know. Ozzy was like going with the bonking of rats as they get fed off. It was an experience.
Got it. I just have this like weird vision where like
it was a weird vision. I lived it. It was weird, but it was awesome.
That's cool, man. I have a weird vision that I want to do that now, but that's cool. So how long have you been doing Tinley? Talk about Tinley and some of those you talked about like friends in the industry, catching up with people and relationships and that stuff.
Yeah. So I've only been doing Tinley myself for maybe like 5 years. Chad Holker had tables, and I would go with him. I think the first time I went with him was like 2012. So I started going with him in 2012, and then I would go to the fall show every time, and I would never go to the March one. And then I was able to get tables myself like in, I want to say 2020. And then I've just been going since then.
Yeah. Was that after the famous or infamous COVID show where
it was the next one?
It's the next one, October. Yeah.
Because I was supposed to go with him to that one, and then I didn't go, and then he went, and they had the hotel show, which sounded crazy and fun and lucrative. And then it was the next one is when I got in.
Yeah. Yeah. I forget that in some ways it seems so long ago, like that again, like the parallel with music. I just finished a St. Patrick's Day tour, and I got back to the last stop, which was back in North Carolina. I'd gone all through Florida and come back up. And it was actually at the property I worked at. And on the 16th, the general manager came over to me. I was just checking in. I'd just gotten back on the road, grabbing a beer, making sure that the plans were good and schedule was good for the next day. And he said, Adam, we're not doing it. We're hanging out. We can't pack this place with 300-400 people in this dining room tomorrow. And I said, well, I'll still play. And he was like, no, we're not doing anything. We're doing nothing. We're not opening. We're not anything. Send everybody home. And I was like, this is getting real now. Yeah. Which was, had to be, I guess, the same weekend. Well, yeah, I mean, traditionally St. Patty's Day conflict. That's the bad part. I can't do St. Patty's gigs anymore because I got this Tinley table.
My mom's birthday is on St. Patrick's Day, so I feel you.
Yeah, and your McNamara. I mean, goodness, man, you're all in.
Yeah. So I was vending. I mean, he would give me. I would have like a small section of stuff on his table, but I was vending probably 2012 on, but not really. Like it was mainly his stuff. I would just kind of go hang out, maybe sell a couple things here and there.
Right.
And then I was just there kind of thing.
What do you look forward to like the most for it now? Is it
as far as Tinley goes?
Yeah. Is it the revenue? Is it the people? Is it the scene? What do you look forward to? I mean, and you drive in, huh?
We drive in. The drive is
Jeez.
definitely not what I look forward to. It's about a 14-hour drive, 14-hour drive.
Oh.
No, the drive sucks. But no, I mean, I like it's kind of, I think you've said it, it's like the Super Bowl of shows. So, I mean, I think it's one of those things that I unfortunately do better at all the other, most, not all, but I've had really good Tinleys. And I've had all right Tinleys. I would say I always do better at Daytona than I do Tinley, which I would love to even that out.
Right.
And actually, after that last Bob show, I would love to just do. I don't know. Bob show was fantastic too. But
on the
so I enjoy going because you see people that you don't see other places, and it's a good venue, and it does feel like you kind of have to be there when you're there.
Yeah. What do you attribute doing better at Daytona versus Tinley? Because Daytona's, I don't think a lot of people realize Daytona's even bigger as far as like square footage and number of vendors than Tinley.
I mean, I think for Daytona for me is I've been going literally for 30 years.
Yeah.
Or almost 30 years. So I have a lot of people that come back. It's also that first stuff of the season. So you have all the good stuff that's out there. Mm-hmm. And also I do really well down there. That's where I rotate a lot of adults. So I bring a lot of adults down there. And I would say for whatever reason, I can sell adults down there way better than I can in other venues. Florida people just seem to buy them better. I don't know what that is, but it just seems to work better.
I'm from there. I mean, I know all about the Florida people, man. There's just a reason we got a Florida man.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know why I do better at that one than I do the other one. It's just, maybe it's location. I don't know what it is. I like the location we have as far as Tinley goes. I like the venue. I like the people. I like the hangouts. Like I would say I get to see people that I don't see at other shows. So we do a dinner with Vin Russo and Dave Levinson every Friday before. And so, I enjoy stuff like that. And so there's aspects of it even beyond the show that I would go for.
Yeah. What's your like behind the scenes? What's your restaurant of choice or what's your food of choice for yourself in Tinley?
And honestly, we're always trying to find that.
Okay.
We go to some pizza place on Thursday with like Corey DeLong and Winston.
Right.
And I can't remember the name of it right now, but like Ed and somebody's or something like that.
It's right downtown. It's right across from the steakhouse because usually we go to the steakhouse and then walk across. Yeah.
And I think that's decent. I actually, it's pretty good. I don't know. I feel like we've kind of flopped around in different places trying to find something. I don't know that I've found anything that I'm like, the only thing that I think is fantastic that we always have is that little Asian place in the parking lot, Jojo's.
Huh.
Like we almost always have that on the way out. Like that place, it doesn't serve alcohol. It's just like but they've got more options than you know what to do with in there. And that place is fantastic.
Chris bailed us out. Ed and Joe's on the pizza.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there we go.
So,
which parking lot? Where the hotels are, or where like the Dunkin' Donuts is?
Where the heck's the Dunkin' Donuts? It's where the like the gym is.
Yeah. That's over by the Dunkin' Donuts. I think
it's on the back side of that.
Okay,
it's like if you were to turn off the main road, like go past the Burger King and turn into the hotel parking lot, the venue parking lot.
Yeah,
it's like the one on the corner right there.
I gotcha. Yeah. All right. I think in that same parking lot is where it is, but there's a breakfast joint that is really good.
That's across the street.
Okay. The other catty corner there then.
Yeah. So if you're looking, if you're standing in one, you could see the other.
All right.
That's where the Dunkin' Donuts is. So it's almost directly across from the Dunkin' Donuts.
There you go. Look, you say his name, he pops up.
I know. Look at that.
He promised he was going to be packing all of his animals because he's got to hit the road tomorrow. Corey, be safe out there. No flying tires, man.
Yeah, goodness gracious. What an experience that is.
I'm so glad he was there and home safely and all the animals. And anyway, that's a different story. But yeah, I like that breakfast place. I like I think it's called like Vinny's Clam something or other.
I've never
Just
been there.
oh, it's a great old school Italian restaurant, man, and
Wow.
open flame oyster pit and all of that stuff, but like super like throwback. Like they play like Italian mafia movies on the TVs all around the place. It's really good. And I'm generally not a big Italian guy. Like I'm like, nah, I don't know. It's pasta's pasta. No, they do great on it. It's really good there.
I'll have to look that up. So like I'm half Italian, half Irish. So it's like my grandparents are off the boat Italian. So I've done a lot of Italian in my, as you could probably tell from the hair and hair.
Yeah. Well, you balanced out the culinary deficiencies of. I say that as a man that, from a long line of Gallaghers, so I could say this, but Ireland's known for a lot of things, but not their culinary delights, we'll say. But yeah, Vinny's Clam something, which is also, I was surprised when I went there because I'm not a big clam guy, but they have a full menu. It's really good. So I do that. I like the primal cut. I like it. As far as the steakhouse goes, it's okay, but I'm superstitious. I really like a ribeye on Friday nights, and I feel like you got to reward yourself. We work hard, we enjoy ourselves. I'll eat ramen 6 nights a week, but I'm gonna have my ribeye on Friday nights. You know,
it's not a bad plan. I could adopt that.
Yeah, anyway. So it's for me. It works. Vinny's Clam Shack, yeah, next to the breakfast place. Yeah, that's the one. It is. It's outstanding in there, man. I really enjoy it. So, it's worth checking out for and if they want to sponsor a little spot on here, they can. There's a little freebie for them to chum the waters. What about, you talked a little bit about the animals that you feel like you can move at different shows. Obviously experience goes into that. It worked last time, so you try it this time. But like, what animals, if you could describe them or quantify them, what would you bring to Tinley? Or is it just I just bring everything I have?
Yeah, I bring everything that I can. I would say it hasn't been consistent. So I don't know that I could say, like, I have quite a few species. So I breed a lot of things. So I had one year where I brought like albino Hondurans, and when they were high, and I sold like 8 of them, and then I have done a couple other shows and I haven't sold one of them. So, I'm going to bring some stuff like that and some Mexican Black Kings and things like that, and see if those move. And sometimes, like, again, in Atlanta, they move very well. In Florida, colubrids move incredibly well. But for Chicago, it seems like they're a little slower for whatever reason. So I don't know. I've had, for me, a lot of the stuff, like, oddly enough, it's been banana based, I'd say, is what's sold for me. Even like a little higher end, like what did I do? I had a super orange dream banana clown stuff that I've moved there fairly well. I would say that's been kind of the stuff that's moved for me there. Just like colorful stuff has been what's moved for me in Tinley, I feel. I
should have asked earlier, what species, or what are the various species that you breed and work with? And, obviously we're kind of ball python focused, but what else do you have going on?
So, I have a good collection of ball pythons. I also have like olive pythons, maclots pythons, sabu pythons. I have all of the bloods and short tails, or not all. I guess I have all. I have Borneos, reds, Sumatrans, orange head Sumatrans. I've got Amazon tree boas. What else do I have? And then I've got like a group of colubrids. I've got like black milks, albino Hondurans, some Sinaloans, some cool Pueblans, some palmetto corns and stuff like that. Some blood red pied side corns. I think that's probably it. Yeah,
I'm lost already. Plus your tortoises.
Yeah, and I have redfoot tortoises. I also have some Cape gophers. So I know you always say like BNS has Pituophis, if that means anything to you. I do have one pair of Pituophis.
Okay, all right, nice. There it is. Yeah, you've been the advertising works then. Okay. Yeah. What'll be your mix though that you bring, say, to Tinley? Is it
so this time it'll be
or what do you do?
So this time it'll be ball pythons, maclots pythons, some Hondurans, some Mexican Black Kings, and then my friend Scott comes with me, and he'll have like Argentine boas and Dumerals boas, probably some North Mexican pine snakes with some more Pituophis.
Yeah.
I I don't know what else he has. That might be what he has. I have to remember what else he has, but probably around there.
Yeah. Do you find it hard to focus on like who the customer is, or do you just let them kind of peruse, and if something catches their eye, or like for me, I feel like, all right, ball pythons are my target, be an expert or become an expert on it. Focus on that, focus. What, I mean, that's a whole different model from what you're talking about.
Yeah. And I would say people come to me for like maclots pythons and olive pythons. I've been doing them for a long time. A lot of times I'm the only one that has them.
Yeah.
So people do suit, like I was saying today, since Bob show and today, I've sold 9 maclots pythons since Valentine's Day. So like, it's kind of crazy.
How do you market them?
I don't really like.
That's what I thought. I was like, I never see you marketing these things.
I'm not very good at that part. I should be better at it. But I mean, I have some ads on Morph Market, and I go to shows and I have them out there. But if I market them, I'd probably do better. But I really don't do much. People just kind of come around and just because I've put some articles out and I've done quite a few podcasts on those species, and so it seems that people just kind of pop up and
I gotcha
and ask. And so I make a couple clutches of those a year to make sure I have some. And it's a $350 snake. Like those sales add up. It's a great animal in general. I love the animal on its own. But it's also an animal that brings a lot of people to talk about because they've been around forever and they've kind of gone in and out of fashion. So I have stuff like that I feel like has been kind of that's really been my bread and butter has been stuff like that, and carpet pythons for a long time, but I don't have those now. And then ball pythons, I'll find stuff that I think is pretty. And like, when the blackhead clown stuff was hot, I did very, very well with that. It's kind of going a little bit slower, but I'm going to keep on plugging away and try to find stuff because it's just so cool.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to try and play around with a little more stuff like that and just make things that I think are neat and kind of go from there.
Yeah. I like blackhead a lot. I'm not on a kick. Nearly that whole rack behind me is all super gravel stuff, but I like to see a super gravel clown with blackhead.
It changes things for the better. And, and the cool thing about it is like, there was one, I don't know, a couple years ago, I made like 5 clutches of blackhead clowns and not one baby looked the same. They all look different. And so it just makes there's so much variability in them. It's just super, I don't know, it's just pretty neat.
I find that in clowns, I did a lot of clowns this year. So some are het, some not, but there's a lot of variation. And I know that I made those clutches primarily for hets. So there's not codoms in there. And I'm just like, even the variation of just of the clown gene is interesting to me. So right. I'm still kind of mesmerized by breeding and genetics and the potential results and the idea that this is part of its evolution that we're participating in. Like we're speeding this stuff up.
Yeah, and I find it weird too because some people will be like, "Oh, nobody likes the base clown morph," and I think that's one of the coolest looking morphs to me. Like, I really love the way that it looks. So, I know some people will be like, they'll compare it to Sunset or compare it to whatever else, and I'm like, I don't have any Sunset. I think I've seen some combos lately that make me think I might want to get some, especially the Ultramil Sunset stuff is ridiculous.
Yeah, they're finding it, they're figuring it out.
But like the regular clown stuff, I mean, I had a whole bunch of them. I don't have as many regular clowns anymore, but they're all just, I don't know. I find them all to be beautiful and cool looking.
Yeah. Well, I actually bought 3 from you.
Yeah.
And, but I remember, I think that one of the first things I texted you back, I was like, are all of these just clown? Cause they look, I wouldn't say wildly, but they look very different. The olives and the sort of the tans and light tans are really bright in some and some, and, a couple of the others are much darker. I was like, they don't even look the same.
No, I had 11 regular clown girls at one point in time in here, and no 2 of them looked alike, which was awesome. I don't know. I like that. I agree. Yeah, it would get boring otherwise. Like it's not as exciting. Plus, it's always that little. Like I know the question is so dumb and it gets old, but there's always that little itch of like, what's in there that I don't know about? What's the thing? What's the, because this testing is so new, and I mean. Some of those girls are, I don't know. They're over there. I can't see how, but I mean, those girls are older than genetic testing. So like what was happening before then? What was, I don't know. I think it's kind of a neat possibility of questions. Well, and I bought a lot of those girls from Tom Burke when he was sick. And whenever you talk to Tom, he didn't know what anything was because he was a boa guy, and he's like, I don't know what's in there. They're just cool looking.
They're just cool, right?
Yeah. So I mean, so they might have stuff in them that he had no idea. And I mean, I would make babies that looked funky. I kept a couple that I feel like I swear I made scrambler stuff or something like that. So I'm trying to redo a couple of those pairings. I sold the stuff like a moron and didn't, so I didn't actually pay attention all the way. But after the fact, I was like, those things were weird. I should make that again. So I kept a couple that I thought were extra neat and did different stuff.
But it's easy to say. I mean, keep it and do something. That's a 3-year. I'll try it out. Like that's that's a long investment too.
Yeah,
I'll try it out. So I get it. I don't know. Anyway, I still, like I said, I still find it interesting. I find it like with old guitars, I like wondering like what shows it was played at or who played it or, where's it been? And these animals are kind of like that because they move through the industry so much. I mean, a lot of them will traverse their way in and out of the industry over a decade or more, So I think that stuff is kind of neat to keep track of or to try and figure out or backtrack anyway. I was thinking about some new show topics that I haven't dug into before. And I thought one of them was like the topic of etiquette is interesting. Like what's something that either you love or you hate from other vendors or not people, you don't have to call anybody out, or from customers? Like what are some like etiquette things that come to your mind?
That I love or hate? I don't know. I'm one of those guys that the things I love are people that bring people to me or I bring people to them, because I'm definitely one of those guys that if I don't have it, I'll try to steer you to where I know it is.
Right.
So I feel like the things I hate are the people that are too competitive. Like I realize it's a business and I realize it's a whatever else, but there's a lot of people out there. And I think that just sometimes we make it harder than it has to be. Now I get for certain projects, there's probably not but so much money for certain things, but the idea of working together and doing this and making money and doing it well, but also having fun with it and creating a nice environment, I think is, especially in the light of how things are viewed. We need to do as much as we can to be as positive as possible. Right.
And in sort of the social climate of today as well, like everything's so tribal and anti this or for that. And there's no middle ground. And, now I agree with you. And it's funny you say that because I kind of was thinking through my own list. Yeah. The etiquette thing that I dislike the most is if there's a customer at my table and another vendor approaches that customer at my table. Like,
well, I've had that happen before. It'd be like, I had it happen. I did have it happen. I had it happen where somebody was like, I have that thing. He's like, I would do it for cheaper than that. And I'm like, did you just really do that right here?
Yeah. Like, right here at my table. Like, come on, man.
And there was a friend of mine too, which I thought was even weirder.
Yeah.
But it happens, I guess.
That's the stuff that, it just that sort of, well, if they're doing it purposefully, that's really crazy. I was at a show, I don't know, not too long ago. And actually a woman had a tortoise and she like literally sat down on the floor and got a bunch of kids to make a circle that the tortoise could walk in. And I was like, hey, you have your table to do that. Go. Like she sat in front of my table. I was like, I'm sorry to be rude, but I paid good money for here and nobody can get here. And those 7-year-olds with your tortoise are not buying my animals. I was like, yeah. And she was like, I didn't realize. I'm like, you have a table. Do that at your table right there.
That first year that Ed and Emily went to Tinley and did a line through it. And for whatever reason, the line ended and turned at my tables.
Yeah.
And so my tables were occupied, which was, there was nice people. And obviously they bring a lot of people to shows. So, but like my table was basically blank for 45 minutes.
Oh yeah.
Where I was like, and then like the next year they went out in the hallway, but I was like, dang man, I realized you brought all these people in, but that like was a kick in the pants. But
yeah, there's that one's a tough one to me because obviously the promoters benefit from the ticket sales. We benefit in the long run from exposing new people to the industry. But in the moment, you're like, dude, this is not a cheap piece of real estate here.
No, there's nothing cheap about that show. There's nothing cheap about this weekend coming up.
No, nothing, not one bit.
But again, it's, you have to take the good with the bad, because they obviously bring a lot of people in. They do a nice service, so you can only be but so frustrated with it. But it is one of those things where you're like, what am I going to do?
Yeah. Well, yeah. And even if you do decide to do something, maybe that's probably not a fight you want to pick anyway. Like it's probably like a quieter discussion rather than a big, revolt, which clearly there was, because they moved it. They identified it was a problem. So, I mean, they did move it.
Right.
But yeah, man, could you imagine like having that following, like bringing that number of people just for showing up?
No, and obviously, I mean, that's pretty amazing that they can bring that amount of people. But like, no, it's crazy that they have that many people, and I feel like they were just because you could kind of see them where we were, and it's just like nonstop. So they've got to just go upstairs and be like, I always feel like that about our kids when they were in daycare. I'd be like, do you guys go home and just sit in the closet for quiet for the rest of the weekend? I'm like, like you have to have time to decompress. Like this had to be the longest day of your life, which I'm sure I'm sure it's wonderful to have all those people like oohing and ahhing over you, but it's got to be exhausting.
You're on, you don't know who's coming. And there's quite an assortment of folks that show up.
Right. Especially the furries when they get them all like,
yeah, they always have a theme. Like there's everybody's dressed like a pirate, or they had like a tie-dye one or a princess and stuff. I was like, holy cow. It's funny you say that about decompressing. Like Saturday night, I don't ever tell anybody where I go to dinner, because as soon as the show ends, I beeline it out of there. I'm like, I don't want to hear Gene. I don't want to hear Het. I don't want to hear Combo Project. I don't want to hear anything for like an hour and a half. And I just go sit at a bar and eat dinner. And then I come back for the auction. But yeah, Saturday night, by then I'm like, I'm shutting off. I'm getting rid of this coat. I'm done. I'm just Adam for the next little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I love doing the shows, but they are a lot.
Yeah,
they're a lot to do, and it's one of those things you look forward to it, and then, well, if you're having a great show, they're much more easy to.
That's right. That's true. That's
if
true.
You're having a slow show, then it's like, oh man, what am I doing?
And
which is why I've picked and chose certain shows, because there's been shows that are easy to get to and whatever else, and I'm like, if I'm taking a weekend away from a football game or my kids, whatever else, then it's got to be worth it.
Right. On my last comment, I should quantify. I don't think I'm anybody. I'm just on for like 9 hours a day vending like any other vendor. I'm just beat. I'm just toast. I'm out of there.
And I do my best to never sit down. I do my best to make sure that everybody walks by. I'm like, hey, how are you?
Yep.
Any questions, whatever I can try to see if I can be witty, whatever the case may be.
Sorry, I'm laughing because I'm like, all right, yeah, I got my spiel ready too. Like, I'm like anything you're looking for? And they're just like, no, I'm just looking. I'm like, all right, well, if you see something you like, or you have questions, let me know. I will say that 3,000 times this weekend.
I say that, and then every once in a while I'll throw in like I can box it up in an instant, whatever else, and people always chuckle, and I'm like, and then you get the one that doesn't chuckle, and I'm like, ooh, went to the well too many times on this one, or whatever.
Right? Yeah. Let me work on my material. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I need to come up with a joke or something. I don't know.
I Googled it. There was one show that was going slow, and I started Googling like introduction lines. I was just like, what can I use next to try to?
Right.
I told that to one of the shows I went to. I was like, I walked out of there and I was like, man, I'm so glad I'm married, because I didn't seal one deal today. Like, it was just like, it's like I need to take a class on sealing the deal some days.
It's hard at Tinley, and I don't think most people believe me, but you hinted at it a little bit earlier. As far as revenue and certainly profitability, but as far as even just regular revenue, Tinley is not I don't even think it's in my top 10 shows that I do in a year. And I do a lot of shows, but it's a whole lot more of industry relationships. And the one thing, I mean, I really do, I'll see almost every advertiser I'll see this coming weekend. I'll get to spend face-to-face time. What's working, what's not. I can show how much I care. I can try and seal those deals for the foreseeable future. I can meet other people that maybe it's not advertising. Maybe it's, I got to outfit a new place with racks or whatever it is. Right. There's deals and things to learn. And in that way, it's been very, very profitable. I mean, there's such a value. I'll just use Cold Blooded Cafe for an example. There's such a value that just totally coincidentally, Desiree, the owner, is right across the aisle from me all weekend. Like, if there's something we have to sort out, happy, unhappy, doesn't matter. Business, we get it taken care of. And I know it's taken care of versus, maybe I'll get to that person, maybe not. It's there, and I really love that.
No, it's a great show as far as stuff like that goes. And it's, you just get to, and you also get to see kind of where the trends are going, which you can see things online, but you can look around and you can see, what Brock has or what Bob's doing or whatever else. I mean, you can see those at other shows as well, but you can really see like people bring out like kind of the big guns of what. Now, granted, if you're thinking you're going to get into it that day, then you might as well just hang that up. But you're a little late by that time. But you can kind of see where things are, and if you're looking to be on the tail end or you can figure things out.
Yeah, or dream of what the next step is. I mean, then the new hot stuff. I mean, there's so many genes. I mean, there's got to be something that hasn't been done with it I mean, look how long it took you to feel like Sunset's coming around, like you say, with the Ultramel stuff, where it's like, okay, maybe they had a point all along now that they've gotten there.
Yeah. Well, some of the hypo stuff is really nice too, but that Ultramel stuff looks, I don't know. That's in the top tier for me of what I've seen. Yeah,
I haven't seen one. I want to see him in person. That's the other thing I like about their shows is you could see stuff in person. I had, and actually, I don't even know if he's watching. I got to reply to him, but a friend messaged me today. He's like, Adam, does this look like DG hypo or just DG? And it was like just one picture of one animal. And I'm like, honestly, I don't work with DG, so I can't really speak to it. Secondly, like, you need to see that next to a DG or next to a hypo, and then you're going to see what the benefit is, or it's clutch mates or whatever. And so anyway, I couldn't figure out how to type that quickly, so I didn't reply yet. But I will. But that's the example of like the things that you can see there. And like, I spent so much time ball python focused, man. Some of the other species, the monitors and the iguanas that are there, I really love. Oh, shoot. There's a guy that vends Caddy Corner to me, and he's got, I think they're called blue tree monitors.
Oh, Brian Susan. Yeah. Sundown Reptiles.
Sundown. I was like, Sunset. We were just talking about, I was like, sun something, but then
his stuff is incredible. I actually have bought animals from him for the zoo.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. He has incredible. He's super. I went to dinner with him in Atlanta too. Super nice guy. He has, just a completely different realm. He does have some green tree pythons too, as far as snakes go. But just
cool.
The stuff he does lizard wise is incredible.
Yeah, I'll have to go introduce myself. The thing is, like, sometimes I'm embarrassed because I don't know anything about. I'm just going to be like, that's a cool blue lizard, like, and I'm sure like, great, yeah, you're not going to buy anything and you don't even know what the hell you're talking about. But it's just really, really beautiful animals that he's got. But then you get to see that just all over the show, and as much as we give Tinley a tough time about getting tables and all of that, they do a nice job of bringing a variety of animals there, thankfully.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of things to see. I mean, there's a lot of ball pythons, but there's a lot of things to see. And, people always complain about the ball python thing, but it's what people buy for the most part, So if you want to buy, like, I bring a lot of variety stuff, I'll still usually sell more ball pythons than I do the other stuff. So you can't really complain so much if you're not buying the other stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. That's that, I've kind of wrestled with it because the ball pythons are still, I think, the bedrock of the industry.
Oh, for sure.
But it is easy to get, just oversaturated. So that's funny. Jeremy, my buddy I was like, I don't know if he's watching or not. He's like, yeah, but I'm on YouTube TV, so I can't comment. So anyway, there's your answer, Jeremy. I don't know if it is a DG hypo or not, but have them put it next to one or the other. You'll get a feel for it. Sorry, I got distracted on the phone there. What about we talked a little bit about the food at the dinners. What about the hangouts, maybe not even dinner, but the scene at the bar, the scene at the auction, who you can meet? And do you have any stories of how you've maximized that or benefits you've had from those settings and those opportunities?
Well, I mean, I do take advantage of having a dinner with Vin Russo at least every time, which is you know, I don't know. I don't want to feed into his ego too much, but he's a pillar of the community kind of thing. He's a smart guy. It's done a lot of things. And so we spend a good amount. We chat fairly regularly, and having that dinner and we've had a couple of years where we've had every dinner together. I think having someone like that you can kind of bounce things off of and give you advice, and just we can talk about, I mean, sometimes I can answer questions for him, either way. And so that kind of stuff's been incredible. I've been to quite a few of the Brock and Winston and Brad Boa dinners and those dinners which Corey does one of those in Daytona too. You get to be with a lot of cool people in those things that are doing a lot of, and you get to meet a lot of people, so, there, you can't replace those experiences. Those experiences are as good as anything and worth as much as you can. Daytona.
That's
true.
Wayne will sell a table as long as you mail the check to him. That's all.
If he was watching this, he might move you. You better watch out. But yes, I mean, I'd say those like the Tinley dinners have been, and I had a friend pass away last year. Chad Gray passed away, and so we did one of the auctions was for his family, and we all went out to dinner with that. And so like I just have and because I've been in so many different species and had so many things, I have different groups that I can kind of pick and I don't want to say pick and choose because I hate that, but we can have some variety in who we go out with and what we end up doing, which makes it so those experiences are great. And people like Matt Turner and some other people that have done a lot of things in other species that it's just great to be around.
Yeah.
Daytona's different because it's just like, it's like a party the whole darn time.
At the one place, it's like, how long is that hotel? A quarter mile long, maybe longer?
Yeah. And I've had like Jeremy Smith and Chad, we've spent a lot of time together. Jeremy and Chad and I've had some like interesting business conversations in those things, and like, just simpler than you would think. And so like kind of some of the conversations we've had as far as if you buy this and did it this way, think of the money you could make because you could sell these things this quickly. And I don't know, ways that I wouldn't have thought about it before. You just learn, there's multiple ways to skin a cat and everyone does it a different way, but there's, you can kind of figure out what option works best for you.
Yeah. I have to give a shout out to Dale at Constricted Reptiles. Dale, at first he was kind enough to let me vend with him, like working for him. And that I was going to ask you how somebody that doesn't have like a dinner group, how do they get into a dinner group or how do they get invited to one of them? And my input was going to be, well, you can build relationships, but the quickest way is to go buy something and then build a relationship, like do it the real way. But Dale and his wife, Renee, after I vended with them one day, they said, why don't you come to the dinner with us? And it was just like, I don't remember exactly everybody that was there, but Steve Casino was probably there. Kittinger was probably there. George Emdy was probably there. Corey might've been. And so, it's an amazing, it's that I-4 Orlando, Daytona, Tampa crew. And I was just looking around and I was like, holy smokes. And I remember just being like, just don't say anything stupid at him. You don't have to say anything at all, but if you say something, just don't say something stupid. And then like the next show I was vending myself and they're like, you got to come out. And I learned a lot at those shows. And I learned that there's another level of business that gets done outside of the vending room. There's business that gets done at those events too, or those get-togethers.
Yeah. And, those things turn like so Brock's brother-in-law and sister-in-law live here. And so they came to visit them one time, and then we had a barbecue. We have a pool and a backyard, whatever else. And like, so Brock and his family and his in-laws came over, and Chad came over, and we had we ended up doing a snake tour and all hang out and whatever else together. Yeah. And you never know how these relationships are going to expand and who you're going to meet. And, the people that might have a stigma or whatever else and how much nicer they are really than you think they are or whatever.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah. That's true.
And like my wife and Dale's, my wife hasn't been to the shows in a while because of her children and whatever else, but like Renee and Jen had a great day at the beach, at the pool one time.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Dale, I miss being there too. A lot of things I don't miss, but I miss the shows. I miss the hangouts. They're all one-day shows up here. Like I can't get into a good I got to go to Tinley for a good hangout now. Every other show I do is a 1-day show, man. So
how do you like my father-in-law lives in Wyoming, and he'll be like, it's -20 today. And he's like used to it, but like, do you ever get used to that now that you just moved up there?
So I've been here 1.5 years, and my wife said I was like getting Minnesotan because there was one evening that we were out, and it was like 19 or 20, and I was like, it's not too bad. We're gonna hit 20 tonight, and she was like, what? She's like, now you're turning Minnesotan. But the week before, it had been like -26. It was 40 degrees warmer than it had been, and it was still only 20 degrees.
That's crazy. You could die. You could trip outside and die.
That's correct. Yes, that it is that like I remember when I first moved up here and we got into winter, my wife was like, you need to take like a blanket and a sleeping bag with you. And I was like, what are you talking about? And she's like, well, if your truck breaks down, you need to be able to stay warm. And I was like, seriously? And she's like, sure enough, put it in, and people do that. But there is a part to it as well. Like, the houses are built differently. They're heated differently. I don't know, the winter coat that I wear, it's a down coat. So it actually is really thin. It's very comfortable. It's not this big bulky, like snowman thing. So, I know my father-in-law says there's not bad weather. There's just wrong clothes, which I don't really agree with, but he has a point. The guy that's helping me do the renovation on the new facility, I asked him, because my feet were so cold one day. We were working and the door, it was still open air at that time, and it was in the winter. And I was like, how do you keep your feet warm? And he's like, well, you need one pair of big bulky socks, and then you need one pair of dress socks. And he's like, the layer, that really thin dress sock layer underneath the big bulky one, is where the secret's at. Sure enough, my feet were fine after. Yeah, look, Ross is from Minnesota. He's like, he knows what he's saying. He's like, you just need a Carhartt jacket. That's it. So
how do you do a show? Like, how do you bring your animals from the house to your truck in that weather, though?
Well, first I have a garage. The garage isn't heated, but I can heat the truck in the garage. But so you preheat everything, and then you just go fast. I mean, it's 30 seconds, and it's not like they're in the exposed air. They're in the, I got my ARS cases right over here. They're in the ARS cases and whatnot. So, I mean, you just beat it straight into the truck.
See, I always worry, like for Tinley, like, I don't know what today it was like in the 50s, 60s. So it was nice, but I'm like, those times when it's 4:30 in the morning and I'm packing to get ready to get on the road, and I'm like, it's 35 degrees out here. I'm like, crap.
Just put them in. They're good. They're fine. I got snowed in Green Bay one time. I was vending there. I think that was January, but whatever time it was, like, I've actually stopped some of the winter shows just for what we're talking about, where it's like, I gotta feel like I'm going to make some really good money. So the winter shows I just do here in Minneapolis. I stopped going to Iowa, and I stopped going to like Green Bay and Wisconsin for the winter shows. I do the Fargo show in October is surprisingly good, and it's really cold. I was a little surprised how much colder it was there than just here south of the cities. So
watch out for wood chippers up there.
I know, man. I gotta say, I was pleasantly surprised. I don't know what they do in Fargo, but they walk around with cash in their pocket. It's the most cash I've gotten at a show in a long time. Like, I don't think I had any credit card charges, and it was busy.
See, that's why I said Bob's show in Atlanta, I didn't make a cash sale until like a half hour before we left. And I made good, like, it was a great show. Don't get me wrong, but I was like,
yeah, I
used every app known to man, credit card, whatever else.
Right, yeah.
It was like, nobody had cash at all there until the end of the show. And I was like, I feel so weird. I was like, I have nothing in my pockets, but I did it. It was a great show. I was like, I just didn't have anything to show for it.
Yeah, that's kind of usually how I feel. Like, I'll have a little bit of cash in hand, and then the rest will just come into the account. But Fargo, all cash, and honestly, very even little negotiation. Is just boom, right. Here's the money. I was like, that's awesome. This is all right here. Hey, speaking of making some money, let me pay some bills real quick, and then I want to. I rewatched the last show that we had, and I got some follow-up questions a year of perspective later. See what's changed or updated. So guys, check out Redline Shipping. You should know by now that that is the only company that I ship with. Use the promo code PROPER5 to get yourself $5 off of a shipping label. If you ask me why I use Redline Shipping, the industry insight, the relationships, and the team that you can call, and they're available. I won't say 24/7, but they are available and their hours are posted, but they're reptile people looking out for reptile people. And Redline sponsors a heck of a lot of good things, not to mention this show, but a whole lot of good things in the industry. So I'm proud to be associated with them. And thanks to Robin and the crew there. Shedtesting.com. That is Charlie Williams. Before you lose track, actually, I'm not even going to get lost in a whole bunch of details. Charlie just dropped prices 20%. So a single shed is $40. A second test, a second gene on that same shed is $20. So, you know, you could test for clown and pied in the same animal if you had reason to think that for $60. And I don't know how long it'll last. He can only cut prices and offer discounts for so long. At some point you want to make some money, but the promo code PROPER15 will get you another 15% off of that. So use that before that goes away. I think the model is going to be that basically everybody gets the discount now that he's lowered the prices. So we'll see what happens. I'll try and get you something sweet for watching Proper Royals, but go check that out. Some highlights well over 32 ball python genes using, let me see, examples of Axanthic, Wookiee, Sunset, Clown, Puzzle, Ultramel, Zebra, the Yellow Belly Complex, and more that are coming all the time. I know Lace is right on the horizon for like an official release, and same with Monsoon. And I know that there's research that Charlie is doing on many other genes as well. I don't want to say them, because then everybody's like, oh, can you test that? And it's like, no, he said, we're working on it. They're not, he's gathering data on those. So they will be out soon. That's shedtesting.com. Portuguese pythons, Danny and Renee Rocha, speaking of really good relationships and wonderful people to work with, be associated with. I love the work that they're doing, really going deep on double and triple recessives. And I really loved the idea. I had a great conversation with Danny one time where he said, well, it's not about hitting the triple. It's about hitting a unique triple or a unique double or something special that has your codoms in it. Because what good does it do to hit it if somebody else has already, 15 other people have already done it. So I tell you all that because their hets have all kinds of codoms in them. All of my Ultramel Pied project stuff comes from Portuguese pythons. You should check them out. Let me see right here. We were talking about something like this. I don't know if it's still on Morph Market. As of last week, it was. They have a Sunset Hypo combo on there. Lots of dark genes in their Ultramel stuff as well. Blackhead, Het Red Axanthic, GHI. They've got some Ultramel puzzle stuff and lots of Ultramel clown stuff. So go check all that out. That is on their Morph Market right now. Ball Labs is Trevor in Aurora, Colorado. Trevor works with all sorts of high-end genes as well. Puzzle, Ultramel Clown, VPI, Axanthic, Tri-Stripe, Monsoon, Zebra, and Sunset. He also likes messing around with genes that might have been forgotten in the past and maybe deserve a revisit with some of these new genes and new combos that are pretty popular. He also started a podcast called Breeder Underground, which is he and a co-host named, I believe Josh is his first name, but we all call him Gertz. And these guys, really insightful, a little, and I say this complimentary, a little nerdy. I really enjoyed chatting with Gertz because he is a game designer. So he studies strategy, psychology, and they're excellent guys to do business with. Go plan to see Trevor at Ball Labs at the AARPE show in Denver coming up in April. You could check them out on Morph Market and Instagram between now and then. Last but not least is BNS Reptilia. That is Chris Shelley. And Chris is the original sponsor of Proper Royals, the very first one. He's still here all these years later, which I'm thankful and proud of. Chris is BNS Reptilia because he deals in ball pythons, locality boas, blood pythons, colubrids of all kinds of shapes and sizes. as Dennis mentioned earlier, Pituophis, the bull and the pine snakes. If you're into such things, or if that word means anything to you, he'll help you with the permits, with the knowledge to know what you're allowed to own and not own. And he will be vending with me in Tinley in October. He is a full partner on my table at Tinley, and I really appreciate his support. And he's become a good friend and mentor. And I'm sure I know he's a reliable resource. I'm sure he'd be happy to help you out if you get in touch with him. That's Chris Shelley, and he's also the regional distributor of the Chipper Cocoa. So if he can help you out with that in Pennsylvania, get in touch with him. Or if you're looking to become a regional distributor of the Chipper yourself, you can get in touch with him on that. Audience, thank you very, very much. The show is really not that fun if you guys aren't here, so I appreciate it. Thanks for all the support through the years. I feel really thankful to be able to say years as plural. Tonight we're hanging out with Dennis McNamara, DJM Reptiles. We will both be vending at Tinley, not at the same table, so you got to go to Dennis's table, basically straight back from the entrance, a little to the left, and then shoot all the way left, and you will find me in the very back corner. Go all the way back, all the way left. I will be there. So, Dennis, I made some notes from the last time that you were on, which I really enjoyed that show, man. I had a blast on that show, and I'm glad to have you back. What you talked a little bit about it, but what shows have you added, or have you changed your outlook on vending? Have you added new shows? Are you considering new shows? You hinted at Southeast Reptile Expo, and then you hinted at, if you're going to give up your weekend or family time or football, it better be a good show. So what goes into choosing shows that you do?
Well, I also work on the weekend, so my job makes it so my schedule is
my
wow. My days off are Sunday and Monday. So
okay. Restaurant life right there.
Yeah, well, I started working in a deli when I was 14, so I was like, I haven't actually had a full weekend off just since I was 14. So it's like just kind of what I know. And honestly, right now I'm doing Daytona, Bob shows, and then Tinley. There's a Virginia Beach show that Mickey puts on.
Show me?
Yeah, Show Me.
Yeah.
But the problem this year is going to be, I think it's Mickey show 1 week, Bob show, and then Daytona.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I can swing all that, so I'll have to figure that out. So I wouldn't mind, like Chad's always trying to get me to go to I think it's Oaks, or no, it's Gettysburg or something like that.
Pennsylvania? Yeah.
Yeah, but I haven't ever done that. It's hard. Like, especially I have an 8-year-old daughter that's in cheer, so we're doing cheer stuff most weekends throughout the fall. And then I have a son that plays baseball, and he played football, and like it's hard, it's hard to do. I would like to do more. I don't know how many, like, I'd like to do Troy's shows is what I would like to add. I'm not sure, because they do that one in Charleston now.
Charleston or Charlotte?
Maybe Charlotte.
Sorry. There you go. Yeah.
Some CH something. But
yeah, it's all, yeah, right. It's southern CH towns.
Yeah, so Charlotte. So I would like to, he asked me about doing that when we're in Atlanta, and I would like to do that. I'm not sure if I can do it or not, but I need to pay attention a little bit more and see. Like, and honestly, I'd be happy doing those and be done. Like, I'd be okay if I didn't do anything other than that.
Yeah. Do you sell, not that it's any of my business, just interesting as to what people get into. Do you sell much outside of shows? Like, do you move a fair amount on Morph Market, or where does that fall in for you?
Lately, not. Well, maclot pythons have been going, but they've been kind of going to Morph Market, and then also Instagram, just people just kind of reaching out. I've found, like, for me, when I do short tails, I always sell them in the spring. So it seems like the spring is always, I mean, it's tax season too, but like,
yeah,
the spring is always really good for me as far as that kind of thing goes. I can remember having very good times in Morph Market. I'd say lately it hasn't been that great, but I really can't say that it's all anything other than I haven't really uploaded a lot of stuff on there.
Yeah.
Because just life gets in the way, I mean,
yeah, it's work. Yeah, I get it.
I mean, I think about this week. Like, I had baseball practice. I had to work baseball practice. We went to dinner, and then I'm here. Tomorrow it's work, and then dance, and then packing, and then going, so it's just like,
yeah,
it's just, there's only but so many hours in the day. So I got to figure it out. So
Yeah.
Plus, we live close to the beach, so the whole summer we go to the beach every weekend. We also have a pool, so we have people over. We do it like our life is. I have zero complaints in how my life is,
Right.
but it makes it harder for me to be like, oh, am I going to give up that? I only have so many weekends I could do that.
Yeah. Well, and
I would.
it's a little different perspective too, because you have, like you say, you have the job that you love and you look forward to going to, and I assume that pays anything. I'm sure it pays something. So that's a little different outlook than where I'm at, where I'm like, all right, I got these businesses, but if I'm not working and trying to build each one, I'm doing something wrong. And snakes are one of them. So it's a little, I don't know how you fit I don't know how I would fit all the time in with
I
the
don't either. I don't sleep
scale
a
of
lot.
what I'm
That's the
doing.
problem.
Yeah. I mean, the scope of what you're doing plus a
Yeah.
full-time job is, whew.
Well, and that's the thing is, I've been there for 25 years, so I work for the city. And so I have the potential in 5 years to retire from that. And so I'm trying to debate, but I'm also like, I have a 5 and an 8-year-old. Do I need, I need insurance, I need whatever else. So
Yeah.
I don't
Yep.
know. So we'll see what life brings. Up until Tinley was the way it is, having to do 2 shows a year, I used to go to shows and then I would kind of wholesale everything like right around Christmas time. So I didn't have hardly anything as the year went on. Or I might wholesale all the males and only keep girls. So that way I know, I always liked that model of just keeping all the girls and selling all the boys. So that way if they didn't sell, I could be like, oh, I could always replace something with this.
Right. Yeah.
Whereas the Tinley model and doing Bob's show, it's made it so I've started keeping more stuff. I mean, I'm not opposed to the wholesale idea, doing stuff like that too. So that's kind of one of those. I wouldn't mind having a little bit of that and a little bit of the other. I don't know.
Right. Yeah. There's some breeders I work with that it's interesting. It's almost exactly what you're talking about. They'll hold their stuff through Christmas, and then it really doesn't matter what caliber it is. It's wholesale. It's done. They're out.
Well, because then you can put all your effort into making sure your breeders are doing what they need to do, and honestly, I have a good amount of babies left just because I haven't really pushed anything out, and which is fine, but
yeah, I like exploring the pluses and minuses to the different business models. And I think actually you had talked about on the last show, you have to be adaptable and willing to pivot or willing to learn sometimes. And so I know I did. It was either 26 or 27 shows last year, which was too much, but if they were all good, it wouldn't have been too much. But
right.
So I was able to see what made sense to do and what made sense not to do. So I cut out, 9 of those shows. So I'm doing 17 or 18 this year.
Still a lot.
It is. But right now I'm feeling antsy because in the winter, like I say, I'm only doing the ones like right here in town. So I feel like I feel like I've been wasting time or wasting opportunity because I haven't been out there. And it's really, I'll get it every now and then I think we had 2 2-day windows of shipping. So it's really hard to get aggressive with sales when I go, great, it's yours. I'll hopefully in the next 6 weeks be able to ship it to you. That's a really hard thing as well. So I really, really focus locally. This winter it was fine, but it just felt like I wasn't maximizing things,
Yeah, I know he doesn't ever do shows, but I wonder if you could ever get Mark. I mean, I don't know if MJ has or not. He has, but Mark Bailey on someone that lives in that environment and how have they survived all of this time? What is their model that makes it, so they build up here and then can kind of go back and forth.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. One of my goals is to make enough money this weekend at Tinley to go buy a snake. I was looking at, I'm not going to say what it is because it's actually pretty good. It's good price. It's a good animal. It's just what I need. It'll be my luck. I'm here bragging about it and somebody buys it. So, But I was looking because I was like, well, you know what? Probably most people will be at Tinley. Let me see who's got exactly what I'm after. And funny enough, Mark Bailey popped up and, so I'll probably reach out to him afterwards. But I talked to Joe at JSA a lot. He's been a great friend and mentor.
He's a super nice guy too.
Yeah, you talked about earlier, some people can get competitive or really rude or whatever. I mean, never any of that. Never oh, you think you're just going to come into this mark, and none of that crap. He's so good. So anyway, I talked to him a lot about try and hear what's working or what strategies worked or what it focuses on. And honestly, it's just like everything else with these things. It's patience. Just it's going to come. I look back at my budget ups or my revenue ups and downs last year. It was August through December, just slamming. Like up the first 6 months is like just sustaining, and then it just explodes.
Right. Yeah, I mean that's it. Yeah, as you get those trends, then you know what to do, and you can kind of prepare.
Yeah. Sorry, now I got people scoping out my snake. I've said too much already. I'm in trouble now. Yeah, it is knowing those trends and knowing to prepare. And yes, it's true. It's still hard when you're sitting there and you're like, well, I lost money or at least didn't make any money that month. Like I think January, after all was said and done, I think I made $67. It's like,
ouch. Yeah, I could say.
Yeah, that doesn't feel like it can cut it at them. But then it's always like what's happened most recently. October and November, I was well into the 5 figures, which I never thought I would say about a month of reptile sales. So it's like, hey, that was only 60 days ago that I was doing that, or 90 or whatever it is now. But yeah, so I guess that's where the expression burden, it's always nicer when the bird is in hand versus it's in there. It's in that bush. It's coming,
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And sometimes we don't ever pay attention to what else is happening. And you go, man, that was a shitty year. And then you look back and you're like, well, maybe it wasn't as bad as I thought it was, so.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's hard to look rationally at things when you get nervous or stressed out, and we get nervous and stressed about the things we care about. So it all just sort of gets magnified. But I do have, and I should say, I do have the restaurant consulting business, which has been very solid, and I'm very thankful for the customers that have kept me on. So like, there's always that bedrock where I'm like, okay, I got the mortgages paid. Kelly has a salary that's coming in. We're good. And anything beyond that, I end up reinvesting into the businesses anyway. So it's like,
I hear you made money on the car wash 1 month too.
I didn't make money on it yet in the wintertime, but it did pay it paid its mortgage both months, which I was, so like my mindset with that is if it'll pay the mortgage and Proper Royals can pay the utilities, and that's all that it has to pay for rent to expand and get the facility in the place. Like, and that was in January and February. Like March I might make a quarter or two in March. We'll see. But if that's the other thing, I mean, it's the same revenue up and down. It's like knowing when it's coming and not. And I don't know that yet on the car wash. The car wash is just like, I hope it's there and keep a bunch of money on the sidelines. I'll tell you that. So, but yeah, it did. It paid its mortgage in January and February. We'll see in March. March is going to be much less expensive if it stays as warm as it's been. Like the boiler I can turn off, the hot water heater I can turn down. So those utilities are going to go way down. Yeah, there's this Jeremy up in just north of me here. Yeah, everybody's washing their cars now. It got warm out. Got warm out at a high of 37, and it's the day that it cracked after the really, really cold stretch, the day that it cracked, the first day it cracked 25, there were literally lines for most of the day into my car wash. I was like, and it was just those ups and downs. I'm like, yeah, this is how it is, man. This is it.
Your quarters.
It's all quarters. I've got to get a card reader in those things, man. It's ridiculous. All right. So we talked about what changed from the last 12 months. This is a tough question because it can get sticky really fast. What do you think the next 12 months looks like? And like day by day, there's just weird economic stuff going on. Like there's a lot to take into account right now. Do you get into any of that, or you just roll with it? What do you think?
As far as like the political aspect of all the things?
No, actually anything but that, please. How about the snake? How do you see stuff coming up on the snake market?
I think, hopefully things are just going to, obviously, well, things have been selling here lately. So, I think that, I was talking to Chad about it today. He said he had sold quite a few things since
Yeah.
Bob's show as well too. So I think if things keep on going like that, I've got a good amount of things on the horizon that look like I've got a couple clutches that are due in the next day or two.
Oh, cool.
So I think I'm almost at a point where I'm scared if everything goes that I think might go.
Do you be out of inventory, you mean?
That I'll create too much,
Oh,
kind of with what I have, like, because I've
I'm
got like
sorry.
5 short tail and blood python clutches that are potential. I've got 2 olive pythons and 2 maclots pythons are going to lay, and I'm just like, those aren't ball python clutches. Those are 10, 20, so I'm like, like it's one of those things where it's like, be careful what you wish for.
Yeah. When you said depending on what goes, I took that to mean depending on what sells. You mean what females go and lay.
Yeah. No, I'd be okay if I sold everything behind me. If everything
that's why I was like, what's the problem? You're going to have no inventory?
I would be okay with selling everything. I'm just looking at what could happen here soon. And, I've always thought, like, I always have all these plans and I'm like, oh, if this all goes, and then I'm like, oh, what if it actually does all go? I mean,
yeah. Well, you're right. Like from a ball python standpoint, like the biggest ball python clutch is a pretty typical clutch of some of those other snakes, right?
Yeah. I mean, if I had 20, 30 ball python clutches, which I've, I would say that's kind of where I've wavered. That equals 5 short tail python clutches or, whatever.
Wow.
So it's like, so it just adds up. Or like, I made 30 maclots pythons out of two females last year. So, some of those things can add. And then I've got colubrids coming up too, which colubrids, like, really, I don't mind having those because they more or less almost all go in Daytona. So like, it's just kind of a lot of work in the summer. And then when you're down there, you can kind of move most of that stuff out, which is fine with me.
Yeah.
Because then it's like, the overhead on some of those things is so little, it's crazy. I mean, they poop a lot and you got to move a lot. And I was thinking about, you talked about Eugene's place where you walked into his colubrid house. You're like, for whatever reason, corn snakes bring a different fly or a different smell than anything else. I don't know what that is, but so it's like, I think there's going to be a lot of things that are good coming up. I'm hopeful for getting it all on the ground and getting things going.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I hope so. Cause I see, I see, and I hear, the types of feedback that you're saying. I won't say who, cause some of them are in Patreon or just purely private conversations, but pretty big notable breeders. Maybe even somebody we mentioned tonight that, was like, yeah, this is my best start, my best first 2 months ever. And I'm like, that's saying something because this dude's done it, and
right.
So I'm hearing that. I heard Southeast Reptile Expo was just I've not heard a bad word. Usually you hear positive things publicly and then you hear grumblings privately. I haven't heard a bit of negative about that.
They just do such a nice, like, the fact of, like, granted, Bob is, but his wife, Mary, is everywhere the whole time. And it's like and again, you see her while she's at the show, she hasn't had a bad minute. Like, she's just like, how are things going? What can we get for you? Like, she said something about like the monster sponsor. And then she said, we're going to try and get Jack Links. And I was like, oh, I've never had one of those. 5 minutes later, she comes over and brings me some here. She's like, here, just try some. And I'm just like, what? Like, she's just like, they're just one, they just make it so they make you feel nice. I mean, whether you made money or not, but I made good money. I can't say a bad thing about that show.
I was just saying that cures everything. I will say there's something to be said for what you're talking about. A personal touch where you just know that there's a human that gives a damn doing something.
Oh, for sure.
It's really hard to quantify, but like, even as stupid as it sounds, at the car wash, if somebody's in there spraying their own car, I go over and say thank you and hello to them. And I introduce myself and I tell them my phone number is on the door there if I can ever do anything. Nobody's ever called me. What am I going to do for them at the car wash? I have no idea. It's self-serve, But like, I really, really believe that there being an actual human that cares and demonstrating that just goes so far. And what you just described was a fantastic example of that.
When I think, because I came up in a retail establishment and I was a manager of that pet store for like at 20 years old, so whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, I do that at the zoo. So if we're walking through, I ask all my people, I'm like, when you walk through, be like, hey, you guys have any questions? And it's amazing that you'll hear people go, we've been here 5 times. Nobody's ever asked us if we have any questions. That's crazy. And sometimes I don't want their questions. I'll give you that. Like sometimes I'm like, man, what was I thinking? Why did I stop? But like,
it's like at a pet show and you're like, say head again. I dare you. Don't say head again.
Well, I mean, I always say people come to a zoo to tell you what you're doing wrong. I feel like that's the majority of what people come to.
Oh yeah.
They just want to tell you what you could do better or what's wrong.
I never thought of that. Yeah,
what frog is floating the wrong way and could be dead, but isn't ever dead. But like, they want to be the one to find it.
Right.
But you also meet the people that are incredible, and so you have great conversations and you meet nice people, or you talk to a bunch of kids or whatever else, or you change somebody's mind that's scared to death of snakes and they watch a retic eat a rabbit for 45 minutes.
Yeah.
We have that happen. And so there's so much benefit personally. Like I feel benefit to that, as well as creating it for the customer. Mm-hmm. And so I try to do the same thing at the shows, if we can, we can do stuff like that, or just like the advice I gave you before, where like if you had all the visual females and you get like a het, like when we talked about that, I've done that a couple of times at a show where I'm like, if you guys are looking, like they're like, I want to buy this. And I'm like, you can, but if you want to get the most out of it, like if you did this, that way you can upgrade later on and it'd be faster, or you could do this and try it. And people are like, that makes sense. And I'm like, it's worked for me. So
why
not?
A way to do it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, there's other ways you could do it, but if you buy the best male and then you've got to make all the hets, then you're farther behind, So it just depends. And there's probably plenty of people that tell me I'm doing it the wrong way, which is fine. But my goal is not to put all of my capital back in.
Yeah.
I would like to put more back in, but I pay bills and do whatever else with it. So, I've got to make it work.
Yeah. That is a fact. What you just said there. There's a list a mile long of things that I want to put in and I want to achieve by putting money back in. But then along the way, like you say, you got to live, you got to eat. And, there's things that, again, I go back to it just because it's a business thing, but the car wash, I walk up and I even today I was like, this place still isn't like, I haven't changed the name of it yet. It's still the old guy's name. I'm like, this building it doesn't reflect me. I'm not changing the name until I have it the way I want it, kind of deal. Like,
did you decide on a name?
Yeah. I called it Hometown Shine. That's what it's going to be. Yeah. That's what it's going to be called. But unfortunately right now it's still called the Silver Bullet Car Wash.
I kind of like that though. You could put a big werewolf up there, or Silver Bullet. Would that be werewolf or something like that?
Yeah, I don't know which one. Yeah, or a vampire, or I don't know. I was thinking just a big silhouette of Bob Seger, and some little night moves.
Proper in there at all? It's not the proper shine.
I thought of it, and then I was like, I really was like stretching for it, and then I was like, actually, these things are not related at all, other than me. And then so I just went through the classic branding exercise. All right, what values are we looking for? What value are we delivering? What's the value proposition here? Mission statement. And then, it really came to it's hardworking people in our community. It's been there 30 years that people washing their cars now probably lived, were washing their went there with their parents to wash their parents' cars. And I was like, all right, that's hometown. That's like small town America. That's what that is. So
I get that.
That's what I went with. I had a strong urge to incorporate proper in there. I still don't know how the town's going to receive eventually learning that there's a python and rodent farm in that third bay right there, so I kind of didn't want to rush that either,
I get that, especially in small town America. They might have a much different experience with you.
Yeah. I'm actually really the town officials are on my side. I've cleared the permitting and use and all of that. It's completely legal. They're happy with my interaction with the Department of Natural Resources and vets, and you know, the website came in handy with that and showing them actually all the social media. They're like, you need to come do business in our town. I'm like, all right, cool. But that's different than, you know, Aunt Edna pulling up in her, you know, Olds 88 or Delta 88 or whatever the hell the car
coming
was.
Up in there.
This is a really bad joke, but it's directly across the street from a funeral. What do you call them? Funeral home, funeral parlor.
Yeah.
Is that what they're called? What are they called?
Yeah, I think that sounds right.
Anyway, there's a morgue there. So I'm like ready to be when somebody's like, there's a smell. I'm like, you know, it's across the street. Like,
right. That's Uncle Bob.
Yeah, that's Uncle Bob. Give him till Sunday when they take him away, and they'll you'll be all set. So, Dennis, give us some highlights that are going to be at your table. I think you already did, but for anybody that's joining late, what are you going to have at Tinley this year that people got to come see?
I feel like all of the like really good stuff has kind of got like, I feel like I have a lot of ingredients. So I have like banana het clown stuff. I've got a lot of blackhead het clown stuff. Some cinnamon spot nose clowns, which is a great combo. I think it's, I have a lesser Enchy pin clown boy. I might bring a couple of adult, I might have some adult clown females, maybe I have some, I have a super pastel champagne het pied that's super pretty that I have a couple of champagne stuff I'll be bringing. So nothing crazy, but I think a lot of pretty stuff. And then I have some Maclots Python, some Hunter, and some Black Kings. So I have a little bit of variety, some things to come look at, and things that are affordable that can kind of get you in good places and make good fun stuff. And
yeah, people, you alluded to it. People should watch the other show when it comes to, or the show that you were on previously when it comes to the visual plus the hats. It always really stuck with me, and actually I followed through. I bought a bunch of your female visuals this past off season. But guys, go check out Dennis, DJM Reptiles. Dennis, am I describing it right? Basically, you go in the front door and go all the way to the back wall, and you're just to the left over there.
Yeah. So like when you come in, like there's the flat wall, and then it kind of goes. There's like an angle. There's like a elbow, armpit, whatever you want to call it. I'm right in the back wall where that pit is.
Oh, nice. Okay, so you got a little landmark that you can say too.
Yeah, and now I guess Morph Jungle will be right next to me, or one table down from me.
Oh,
so
I gotta go see
right over there.
Yeah, I gotta go see Justin myself. He's one of the guys in that Florida group that I used to see, and I never got to know him very well, but he's a very, very good person, and he's got
a very nice guy. But yeah, we're like 8 feet apart now, so we're from what it looks like, so we'll be close.
Yeah, he's got good stuff too. Yeah,
he's got a lot of nice stuff.
Yeah, massive display, always a big display.
Yeah, he's right in front of that garage door. That's why I was like, be careful with that over there, just because they leave that door open. It's cold.
Yeah. Depending on what the weather's like, actually I have one of those entryway doors as well over my mind. Yeah, there's a little loading there, but it's not actually. Once the show starts, they're really good about closing it up. The spider bug guy in the corner, he's kind of a door police. He's on it.
Hey, one thing I wanted to ask you about that.
Yeah.
So I know you share a table with your friend over there, and so for me, I found I have gone to a 2-table, which I have enough stuff to do 2 tables, but my sales are better when I have 2 tables rather than 1. I don't know if it's coincidental, whatever else, but I was like, because we were talking about just different show aspects, and so I'm always trying to tweak my table. I'm always trying to tweak my setup, and do I want to do this, that? I bought an uplight. Like I'm going to copy you a little bit on that. I said we can shine the ceilings in there,
just you wait. And like 3 more Tinleys, everybody's going to have spotlights, but you're going to know it was you and me on the spotlights, man.
Yeah, for sure. But I was like, I feel like that's one of those things, like when you talk about these shows, because I mean, it keeps your overhead lower having 1 table, but I've found that my revenue is better when I have more.
Tinley's the only show that I do with 1 table.
Because it's expensive.
It's expensive. And I can't get it. I don't think they'd give me a second one anyway, even if I did want to pay for it. Maybe they would. I don't know. I don't want to speak badly, but I don't know if that would be possible or not. The overhead is nearly prohibitive. If all the other stuff that we talked about that is so good about Tinley wasn't there, it's hard, man. That's an expensive show for what I'm breeding. Now there's some breeders that would laugh at an extra 350 or $400 or whatever the table is. But for me, it is limiting. Now, what I will say about Tinley, and actually I'm glad Dale's still here. I learned a cool hack from Dale one time. You get like 10 by 10 booths. So whatever you do in your 10 by 10 space, you're okay with. So I actually bring another table. And so
I bring tables myself. So.
Yeah. So I have like 1.5 tables. So I have like a front table, and then I have this little side area that faces the bug guy next to me. But we got a little, I think it's a little unspoken thing, because I'm pretty sure I think he has 2 or 3 tables, but there's a loading area and a doorway there that once that door's closed, he and I, like, we meet in the middle on that door. So we get like 1.5 space type of deal. Right. So I do stay versatile on it, but Dale had a cool thing where he had his front booth or his front table, but he had a table behind him, and he propped up more displays on top of, like, he had displays behind him as well, like the high-end stuff, and right. lifted up and raised up. And I was like, I thought it was a cool use of space, but I also thought it was a cool, like, attention getter. It was almost more interesting that you had to stop and really look to see what was back there. Like, it almost slowed people down at the table versus like, here's just more stuff,
Yeah, he also does the thing where he takes those towers and puts them on the stands and puts them at the edges too.
That's right. Yep.
So no, I mean, obviously he's done a good job with that. So yeah, I wish the tables were a little bit cheaper in some ways for Tinley, but I understand they've got to do what they got to do. I'm sure that venue is not cheap.
Right.
But yeah, you have to make $1,500 or more to even just make it worth walking in the door.
I was going to say, it's $1,500 to walk in the door for me to vend.
Yeah, I feel like it might be more than that for me, but it's a good amount of money.
Right. Yeah. I am going to do a video after this weekend of, all right, here's what it costs at Tinley. So I'll just go through all the receipts. And I mean, the thing of, again, not being political, just the fact of the matter, everybody in Illinois gets paid. Man, the tolls the roads you got to pay to use. Right. You walk in the door, give me $50 from the veterinarian. You got to pay that. The table's expensive to begin with. You want electricity, you're going to pay for that. You want another table, it's $100. It is exhausting how expensive it is, and it adds up.
Well, I get it. That's why whenever somebody's like, "Oh, will you take $30 for that?" and like, no, I don't think so. Like,
what? Yeah,
you kind of, you pick and choose. And I've given stuff, like I've tried to go through the phase where I give stuff away, or I did a thing with a girl that I'd met. She didn't have the money, and I was like, "You take it and you pay me when you can." And she was like, "What?" And she's like, I was like, "You know what? If I don't get it, I don't get it. But if I get it," and like every show that girl comes back to say, "Hey, thank you."
Right.
And it's like, I don't know. I think at the point in time it was $600 or something like that. And she was like, "I have $200, but I really want it." And I was like, "Take it." I was like, "Pay me the money." And she did.
Yep.
And I remember who she is. So like, I would remember if I saw her again, like, that goodwill, people have done it to me. So I try to do it to other people.
Right.
And it really helps you, but yeah, you got to make some money at these things to make it worth coming back.
Yeah.
Or make it possible to come back.
Well, and this is another like challenging thing for me. It's not only taking less revenue, it's that you don't have that asset. So if I take 60 cents on the dollar in Tinley, I don't have that asset for 2 weeks later out in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, where people don't know that you should, or there's not the Mount Rushmore of our industry around every corner. I might be a bigger fish out in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, where I can get a fair retail price for it. So sometimes it's worth losing the money in Tinley, so I get the benefit of the other stuff, but I still have my assets to take home, which is backwards for usually how we think of these animals in the industry. But Yeah, the last thing I need is to take 60 cents on the dollar and then have no inventory in 2 weeks. That's a bad situation.
Right. Oh, for sure.
So, all right. Well, food for thought. Hey, Dennis, thank you for fitting in the time. It's always a pleasure. You got to travel safe. You pack. You got the long ride, man. I really appreciate you making the time.
Oh no, I'm happy to do it. I like your show, so I'm happy to be here.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Audience, check out Dennis for sure on Instagram, Morph Market. Anywhere else prominent they should see you on?
You can look at him on Facebook, and that's about probably all of what I have. Yeah, I think that's it.
Perfect. Well, then come see us at Tinley. I'll be there all the way to the back, all the way to the left. Come hang out. Come say hi. You don't feel like you have to buy something. I'd rather get to know you. I'll have the new hat merch will be in there. And special shout out to the Patreon, of which, Dennis, you are. Thank you very much for that as well. I neglected to personally thank you for that. I'll see you guys at dinner, and I'll see you around about the hotel and the maybe some beverages in the evening. How about it? All right.
That's a good idea.
Be safe, everybody, and we'll be back. I'll be exhausted, but I will be back next Tuesday, same place, same time. Cheers. And I pushed through these buttons. They changed the buttons. All right, let's try this again. Good night. Cheers.